Have you ever fought with a lion? Or perhaps a big grizzly bear? We don't really have many lions or grizzly bears around, do we, as a general rule? But at times we all experience a level of crisis. How do you go coping with crisis? Today we're going to explore the 10 top ways, or rather my 10 top ways, of coping with a crisis. So go and get your hot cuppa and let's sit down and have a nice chat. It's a beautiful morning today. Again, we have the sun out. It's a blue sky and the natural light is streaming in, so it's a beautiful day. I have a hot English breakfast cup of tea in my favourite mug. Crisis. Oh, it's a scary word, isn't it? Crisis. What does crisis even mean? How would you define what a crisis is? A crisis is a condition of instability or danger which can be emotional, circumstantial, or it can be both. That means you can feel it's a sense of crisis, so it's subjective to you. You feel it's a sense of crisis for you on that day, or it can be circumstantial, which means it's something that has occurred, such as a death or a loss of a relationship, so something very real, or a deadline at work. Now, crisis can be both circumstantial and emotional. So you can have an issue at work that immediately you have to hand something in to work, or you have a deadline, and you can feel emotional about it as well. So crisis is about having an instability or experiencing an unstable situation, and there's a threat of danger. Does that ring true with you? Have you ever felt a sense of crisis? Oh my goodness me, I certainly have. So what are some examples of crises that you've experienced in your life? For me, the death of a very, very close friend was a crisis. It literally, when it occurred, I felt numb, and it took a number of years to work through that, from the initial crisis stage where it just seemed unbearable, and as I unpacked it over time, there were layers of emotions and layers of feelings. Another crisis I've experienced was the end of my marriage, and that was really, I had physical symptoms of tightness of breath. I had a lot of decisions to make during a time where I didn't feel like making decisions. Another crisis has been when our dog has got out. I love my dog, and he has a disability. So when he gets out, he's got out 3 times. Now we make sure it doesn't happen, so we have the gate padlocked. But when he gets out, he's a huge dog, so he could do damage. He's easily scared. So when he gets out, I get on my running shoes, or not, and run after him to get him back. So there are 3 examples of crises I've experienced. Even something like the internet not working for me can have a level of being a crisis for me. What is a crisis for you? And how do you express or demonstrate or feel your crisis? For me, tightness of chest, producing adrenaline, the pattern of my breathing changes. I struggle to make decisions coherently because I feel flustered. I may feel grief. I may feel anxiety. So it affects my ability to make decisions or think clearly. Grief, I could feel sadness when I feel crisis. Perhaps I may feel a level of anger. How do you demonstrate a crisis? What do you do? Over the last couple of years, I've really formed a pattern of behaviour, a go-to list, if you would like, of stuff I do almost without thought now. So a habit is something we do repetitively without thought. Like we may fiddle with our hair, or someone may stop to get a donut when they get petrol. That could be a habit. You don't even think about it. A ritual is a habit you do with meaning. So it has meaning or symbolism, and there's a purpose behind it. When we experience crises or a crisis, it's important that we create a ritual in order to cope with a crisis. Now, I can almost hear you speaking or thinking out aloud there. You're saying, don't be silly, Lauren. When we experience crisis, we just don't even think about ways to cope. Well, I hear you. I hear you. A crisis is, oh my giddy aunt, this is terrible. I run around screaming. It's like that you can picture that image of someone running around in circles, tearing their hair out and screaming. It is like that. But we still can develop break glass methods. Imagine a box, where you break the glass in order to get the axe out to axe your way out of a burning building. There are break glass methods you can develop to help you cope with crisis. Now, before we go on, I just want to let you know, if you're in trouble, if you need help, go and seek help. Seek a professional. Seek a psychologist. Seek professional advice. Take care of yourself. So your mental health, your physical health comes first. Always, always, always. So you may want to stop the podcast now. You may want to go and make a telephone call, but your life, your safety, your mental health comes first. Saying that, we're going to look at a list. If you have your immediate emergency situation managed, you're not going to drown, then we can look at our 10 top ways to cope with crisis. I have my notes here. I have my tea here. And somebody has just started to use a drill. If you've joined me before in my shows, you'll know that I live very close to a highway. And this isn't a crisis, but it does severely affect my ability to create videos and audios because there is so much noise here, from cars to trucks to motorbikes to drills to hammers to vacuum cleaners to air conditioners to so many things. So that makes my life a little bit more difficult and my ability to create much more challenging. It's part of my life and I just work towards coping with it. Do you experience adversity? We all experience adversity every single day. That's the journey of our life. But along the way, we need to sit in our journey and assess it day by day, moment by moment. And sometimes through adversity, there is opportunity for us to grow. And even in crisis, sometimes there lies opportunity through which we can grow. So let's examine some of that as we go through our 10 points. Now, you may want to get out your journal, some notes, and take some notes with me, or you may just want to have a listen and continue doing whatever you are doing today. Okay, drum roll. Point 1. Point 1. Coping with a crisis. The first point to tick here, to describe here, is damage control. Crisis is like a fire. Suddenly there is a fire and the first thing we need to do is put the fire out. We don't worry about getting water all over the house or water all over everything or destroying things by using water. We just put the fire out. So when we cope with a crisis, the first point is damage control. Make it safe. So seek professional advice. Ask for help. Now, when I say ask for help, those of you who've listened to my podcast before, you know that I'm not great at asking for help. It's one of my weaknesses that I need to work on. Ask for help appropriately from people who are qualified to help you. Part of a victim mentality, which we'll talk about a victim mentality later, but part of a victim mentality It's almost like you're drowning. You're reaching and grabbing from whatever you can grab for. Even in crisis, consider professional advice. Consider who you're speaking to. Consider who you are spending your time with, who you're interacting. Go for wise souls. Go for people who know what they're doing. Go for people that have your best interests at heart. Point 2, know your boundaries. Your boundaries are your limits, your deal breakers, the behaviours you just can't accept. When we're struggling or experiencing a crisis, our boundaries are that much more important. So write them down. Write them down. Stop the tape. Write them down right now. So my boundaries are no verbal abuse. My boundaries are no violence. My boundaries may even be something like needing to withdraw from situations for a period of time in order to heal. That may be about boundary. But write it down, know what it is, and try to avoid using ifs, buts, excuses. I know sometimes I soften my boundaries because I'll say, oh, that person's experiencing a difficult situation. That person's friends aren't looking after him or her at this time. So I'm going to continue to allow myself to be exposed to this situation. No. When you're in crisis, you have your walls or your fences or your boundaries. These are boundaries or walls or fences in order to protect you, in order to enable you to be yourself, in order to enable you to be yourself so you can be the best person you can be, in order to enable you to heal, in order to enable you to reflect, grow, prosper, be well. Know your boundaries, write them down, reinforce them, remind yourself of what they are, without ifs, buts, or maybes. If someone is treating you in a way that is not respectful, don't make excuses for them. You're too good for that, my friend. You're too good for that. Hold on to your boundaries. Assert them. Number 3, be mindful. Mindfulness. What does mindfulness really mean? It sounds like it means be full in the mind, which isn't really giving you an accurate description of what mindfulness means. Mindfulness means to be in this moment with acceptance, with a level of observation, being gentle, being tolerant of yourself in order that you can sit in this present moment with a sense of perspective, So when we're mindful, we have the ability to gently observe a situation as a witness. So rather than running around like a chook without a head, running around going, go, okay, this is terrible. This is truly difficult. This is tough stuff. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to look at, will this kill me? Number 1. How will I feel in 5 years' time when I look back on this? Number 2. Am I using any catastrophic self-talk, as in any talk that is not truly factual, like, I am hopeless, this is terrible, this is disastrous? Am I using talk that truly reflects the situation, as in, well, this is not great. I feel pretty sad right now. I've really experienced a loss, which is going to take me time to get over, rather than, this is horrific and I can't cope. So mindfulness is the ability to sit in the present with a level of detachment, a level of perspective. Mindfulness is about getting up on top of your mountain of your life and looking down on your life, down below. So your life is the cows and the pigs and the animals, chickens down below, and looking at it in perspective. So I've got chickens over here, I've got cows over here. Okay, they're all out of their paddocks, but I'm going to be okay. Mindfulness, being in the present moment. Point 3. Point 4, be careful of creating or involving yourself in distractions. When we're extremely stressed or hyper-stressed, when we're experiencing crisis and it's so difficult, it's really hard to sit in that moment, is a time where we may be likely to want distraction, or we may be likely to fall into the trap of distraction. What sort of things can distract us? What sort of things distract you? The internet, YouTube. I mean, YouTube's great. Obviously, I'm right into YouTube. Facebook, social media. Now, these are mediums that I use, or media I use all the time. But ask yourself, why are you using it at this moment? What purpose is it serving? Is it for work? Is it to calm down? What purpose is it serving, or is it merely for distraction? I encourage you to schedule your social media time so that you don't fall into that hole of trying to hide from life, or trying to hide from meaning, or trying to hide from a higher purpose. Distraction may also be something like shopping a little bit too much, buying a t-shirt in every colour, shopping for the sake of shopping. There's other things such as alcohol, gambling, etc. Research has shown, proved again and again and again, that distraction, mind wandering, ruminating, stops us unpacking our life and actually adds to or causes depression. So we really need to consider any distraction. While I say that, a little bit of a disclaimer. Sometimes when life's really hard, it's nice to shake it up and go for a walk, or shake it up and take the day off, or shake it up and go shopping. I've got a girlfriend of mine who likes to go shopping to a particular shopping centre with her family when life's good, but especially when life's not so good. So it's a reasonable coping mechanism. So are your behaviours reasonable coping mechanisms, or have they got out of kilter? Just have a look at how reasonable they are. Are they balanced? Are you thinking them through? Are you in the moment, or are you running by the seat of your pants? Be very careful of distractions. Observe yourself. Observe how you involve yourself in these behaviours. Observe your breath as you're involved in these behaviours. Are you thinking it through? Are you observing yourself, or are you all hectic, manic, hysterical? We've all been there. I get it. I do the same thing. So schedule your internet use. Think about your shopping. Think about the collections that you collect. Are you collecting because you are stressed? Are you collecting because you're trying to avoid assessing an issue? Or are you collecting in order to distract yourself from the real focus here? And sometimes our eating behaviours can also fall into this trap. Or sometimes, when life's really hard, going out and having a big slice of cheesecake with a friend can be a coping mechanism. Is it a coping mechanism which is thought out and decided upon, or is it a manic distraction? Point 4. Point 5. Oh, love this one. Loving kindness, compassion and goodness. Loving kindness, compassion and goodness. Part of our way of coping with crisis is always remember to feel compassion. Sometimes someone can let us down. Perhaps they've left us. Perhaps a friend has judged us. Perhaps a situation has been unfair, and it has resulted in a crisis situation for us. It's almost a knee-jerk reaction to feel resentment, feel anger, want to jump up and down and stamp your feet. Always feel compassion and loving kindness. There is no surer route to healing than to feel compassion for the people that hurt us. Little disclaimer here. A level of healthy anger can help with the healing process. Only you know, my friend, only you can assess your feelings. So a level of assertive anger can sometimes help. So you need to look at how you demonstrate, how you express your anger. But always the path to healing, The path to contentment, the path to peace is through feeling compassion, loving kindness and goodness. And no, I can hear you think there, I'm not always compassionate, loving and kind. I get really upset sometimes. And it's the way we review our feelings that really counts here. So how do you review your feelings? And so how do you look back and unpack? Yes, I sometimes get really upset, but I find that the only way to cope with the situation, I put this in my book again and again, is to eventually feel compassion for the people that hurt us. Try and understand where they are coming from. Now, that doesn't mean rush back to someone that's treating you badly. Remember those glorious boundaries. Forgive them, don't enable them. Feel compassion for them. That doesn't mean you go back. Respect yourself. But end up in a place of kindness, of loving kindness. Chema, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Chema Chodron, has done some fantastic writings in that area if you want to have a look. Point 5. Point 6. This is so important, well-being. When we're experiencing crisis, that is the most important time to go back to your sense of well-being. What is well-being? Being well. What are you choosing to eat? How much are you sleeping? Are you getting 8 hours a night? Are you walking? Are you keeping fit? Are you drinking water? Have you stopped all alcohol? I actually like an occasional gin and tonic at times. I love in the evening an occasional gin and tonic. If I'm experiencing a crisis, the first thing I do is drop all alcohol. Alcohol destroys vitamin B. We need vitamin B in order to think, in order to conceptually think, in order to decide, in order to feel happy. So if you're feeling crisis, a sense of crisis, your vitamin B will be disappearing. So drop your alcohol, go for a walk, have a meditate, do some yoga and eat well. Now, yes, I know when I'm experiencing a crisis, the last thing I want to do is meditate and do yoga. Find a way, my friend, whether it's 60 seconds of yoga, 60 seconds of breathing. I'm going to do a ASMR video today about a crisis meditation. Crisis meditations are short. The reason they're short is we generally don't have time to do them, so I'm making it short. When I feel crisis, I do my I'm okay meditation, or 10 breaths, or 30 seconds of breathing, or 60 seconds of breathing. It's something that I can really take under my belt, take under my wing really easily. So consider your well-being. You're not going to get to a place of calm without looking after your physical self and your emotional self. Point 6. Point 7. Watch. Be careful of forming a victim mentality. I'm holding my hand up here. Imagine me holding my hand up. I love to be a victim. I love to say, poor me. I love to have a pity party at times going, oh dear, poor me. Well, you know what? I've learned it never helps you. We need to be the person that we want to become, which is, I think, a saying, a Dalai Lama saying, which I really love, and I can't remember the exact words at this time. Be the person you wish to become, I think Dalai Lama said. Anyway, write in if you remember the saying. People who perceive themselves as victims never, ever, ever heal. I get it. I get life's unfair. I get it's hard. I get it's super tough. I get people can be judgmental. I get that sometimes we want to just dissolve into a froggy onto the floor going, oh my goodness. And I certainly do that. I have had my dose of mummy meltdowns. But that victim mentality where we say, woe is me, this is terrible, it's hopeless, no one loves me. I can't do this. I'll never get the book out. I can't be a good mum. Or whatever your sayings are. It doesn't work. No one's going to come to the rescue. No one's going to help you. You've got to, well, people will help you, but it's a matter of you deciding who they are. You take control. You can do this. So you get off that floor, slowly have a cup of tea, get off the floor and keep going. Create your plan. Breathe. Sit in the moment. It is what it is. It may not be too good today. It may not look too bright. It is what it is, my friend. Wipe your tears. It's okay to have a cry. I'm a big crier. Then wipe your tears. Pour yourself a cup of tea and get on with it. Point 8. Point 8. I wanted to have a point here just to focus on meditation, being in the moment. Meditation, being in the moment. And really honour that point in itself. Meditate. Be in the moment. Spend time meditating. Doesn't have to be an hour. Doesn't have to be 2 hours. 30 seconds is cool when there's a crisis. When there's a fire, put the fire out and sit down and meditate. The meditation that you can do on this day at this moment is good enough. Sometimes my meditation is as long as it takes to brush my teeth. I meditate while I brush my teeth. I always feel grateful when I brush my teeth. Meditate. Now, if you're feeling crisis, you may say to me, I can't meditate. Are you serious? Do you know what I'm going through, Lauren? Do you have any idea what I'm going through? Well, you know what? Imagine me holding your hand here. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know how awful it is. I don't know your struggle, but I care. And I also know the only way forward is for you to choose to cope. No matter how hard it is, only you can walk your own path. And that requires meditation. That requires meditation. Be in the moment. Don't look back yesterday. Don't look forward, or don't sit in the past. Don't sit in the future. You may want to consider, setting goals, which is the future. You may want to let go of the past, which may require you to unpack it, but sit from a place of the present. That is your vantage point. Meditate. 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And I will do a crisis meditation on a video, and that will be a short one for you. So meditate in the moment. Number 9, create meaning in your life. Know what your meaning is. Sometimes we can lose touch with our meaning. What gives us passion? What gives us flow? We can lose touch because we fall into a trap of being distracted or sad or frustrated or overwhelmed. And we can lose touch with our meaning. What gives your life meaning? It may be helping with the environment. It may be developing little souls through your children. It may be a project at work. It may be your fitness. It may be all of the above. What gives you meaning? For me, it's my children. For me, it's wanting to make a difference through my creations. For me, it's my personal health. For me, it's caring about the world, poverty. For me, it's having perspective. What is your meaning? Don't let go of it. Journal about it. Remind yourself. And when you're overwhelmed, perhaps you're not able to demonstrate your meaning on that day, but remember what it is. Keep it at front of mind, because your meaning is all you have. One day our bodies would turn to dust, but our meaning is greater than our physical self. Our meaning gives us meaning. And when we have meaning, we're able to contribute to the community, to the world, to society, to our family, to our friends. Number 9, focus on what is important. Number 10, no growth is possible without pain, loss. No change is possible without some trigger of loss as a general rule. It is very rare that someone who's extremely happy wakes up in the morning and goes, that's it, I've had enough, I'm going to make changes. But those of us who experience adversity can sometimes be triggered by an experience, and we get up off the floor, or we get up out of bed, or we take a stand and say, that is enough. I am choosing to make changes. I'm choosing to do this. I'm choosing to cope with this. I am not going to give up. So generally, there is no growth without some loss, pain. What is the saying? Through adversity lies opportunity. So what light can you find in your adversity? What light, what opportunity can you find in your crisis? Be patient with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Give yourself a hug. Now I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to take my hands, put them around myself, and my inner adult, my inner self right now is going to give my inner child a hug. And I'm going to say to myself, it's okay, Lauren. And I'm holding my shoulders with opposite arms. It's okay, Lauren. You can do this, Lauren. You will be okay, Lauren. I know life is sometimes hard, but you can do this. You've got this one. You're resilient and you're okay. So give yourself a hug now. Tell yourself you're resilient and you're okay. Be gentle. There is opportunity in adversity. There is opportunity in adversity. Remember, last point here, take care of yourself. A crisis is a crisis. There are dangers, so cope with the dangers first. Seek help. Put the fire out first. You are an amazing individual, an amazing soul with infinite potential. All the best. I know you can do it. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Let's finish today with a hug. So I'm going to hug myself. I'm okay. I'm going to hug you. Imagine me hugging you. You're okay. Let's be okay together. Let's cope. Let's do this.